It is the most wonderful time of the year. I am totally in the Christmas spirit. I was just listening to some Christmas music. I shut it off because I don't own the rights. I can't have it in the video. But it is like Christmas in this house today. Mike is outside. He is the Grinch. He's not into Christmas yet. I know what you're thinking. It's not even Halloween. Cut him a break, which is totally true. But it's time to start prepping. Today I'm making homemade vanilla because it needs a couple of months in the pantry before I can put it in pretty little bottles and give it away with some delicious Christmas cookies to our neighbors and our friends as a wonderful little gift. If you've never made homemade vanilla, you totally should try it. It's just 2 ingredients. It's really not even a recipe because you just cut beans and stick them in your favorite alcohol, and I'll go through that in a minute. But once you taste it, the flavors will be just so rich and robust and deep. I promise you, you will never buy vanilla extract, especially imitation, from the store ever again. And this is really not that expensive. If you start looking online, yes, vanilla beans look a little expensive, but once you taste it and you realize that you're building a much more robust flavor and you calculate your price down to ounces, it really all comes out in the wash. I buy my vanilla beans online, and if you start to look for vanilla beans online, you will see 2 different varieties, grade A and grade B. Grade A is going to just be a perfect looking vanilla bean pod, and it's going to have a higher moisture content. Grade B, not the prettiest bean. It's not ugly, but it's not the prettiest bean out there, and it's a little drier, which actually helps us when we're making extract because the less moisture that we add to the liquid that we're using, the better the extract is going to become. So I go with grade B. I don't need it to be pretty, and I want it to be dry. You will also find a number of different varieties in terms of the location that the bean is sourced. So you'll find Madagascar, Mexico, Tahitian vanilla beans. So what's the difference? It's really just preference on taste. I don't have a super sophisticated palate, I'll be the first to admit, and they really all, at first blush, taste very similar. To me, I prefer Madagascar vanilla beans. They seem to have a little bit more robust depth to their flavor and have that really nice vanilla forward taste. Mexico vanilla beans are going to have, to me, maybe a little more of like a coffee-ish flavor. Still very, very good, but they just have a little hint of something else in there. And Tahitian vanilla beans, nice and robust, but maybe a little more mild, for lack of a better word, than the Madagascar. So you could start with any of them. They're all going to taste wonderful. My preference is grade B Madagascar. So how do we make it? You have your vanilla beans. You're going to pick your favorite vodka. And in this case, I would tell you to buy something that's cheap, if it's what you like. I prefer Tito's, so this is what I buy. You could totally get away with a Smirnoff or anything that's maybe a little, lower shelf. Some people also use things like rum or bourbon. You can experiment. I prefer vodka. It doesn't really add anything to the flavor, so the vanilla can really be the star. So I make a big batch, so I get a big bottle here. What I'm going to do is just pour some vodka out into a little jar on the side, because as I put the vanilla beans into the vodka bottle, the height of the liquid is going to rise. You're just going to split your bean. I've seen some people take a scissor and just cut it into little chunks to try to expose the bean inside, and that works for them. I prefer to split it the long way and expose as much of the bean that's inside this pod as I can. How many beans per ounce or cup of vodka or whatever alcohol you are choosing do you need? If you want single proof, which is equivalent to what you would buy in most grocery stores, you're going to want to use about 4 of these bean pods per cup. I like to do what they call a double proof and use about 6 beans per cup. So here I have about 40 beans, and this is 1.75 liters. Another reason I like to split my pods the long way is so I can pull double duty and use this pod again. I like to take a few out when I'm done proofing the entire jar and put a single pod in each of the smaller jars I use to gift. To me, I just love to see a whole pod in the jar. It's just a beautiful reminder that this is some wonderfully delicious homemade vanilla. I have all of my vanilla pods sliced lengthwise, and next we just pop them into the jar of vodka. You can make this in your final bottles. I prefer to put all of this beautiful flavor in all of the vodka at one time, which allows us to develop such a rich, beautiful flavor in one setting, and then I go ahead and portion them out once I'm ready to gift. So again, this is going to need to sit in a cool, dark place. For me, I just pop it in the back of the pantry for a couple of months. You can eat it or use it after about 8 weeks, but the longer it sits, the better the flavors become. So it is the end of September for us when I'm filming this, and by Christmas time, in about 3 months, this is going to be perfect. So I have all of my vanilla beans in. Remember, I poured a little bit out just to make sure that we weren't going to overflow, but now I have a little space, so I'm just gonna add it back in. So we capped off our bottle, and I'm going to stick this in our pantry, remember, cool, dark place, for a couple of months. When I go into the pantry, I'm gonna give the bottle a little shimmy, a little shake, just to make sure that all the vodka has a chance to touch the beans. And this extract, I promise you, is going to be the best you've ever tasted. When I get ready to package this and give it to our neighbors, I'll pop the camera back on and show you just how cute a little jar of homemade vanilla and some homemade cookies can be to give to your neighbors, your friends, maybe your kids' teachers. It's just so cute, and it makes it look like you went through a ton of work when really we've only spent about 5 minutes making this. Or perhaps you have a super baker in your life. Maybe you want to give them an entire jar for Christmas. I mean, how beautiful is this Tito's bottle? You don't even have to do anything extra to it. Hashtag not sponsored. Put a little bow on it and a card. The person that loves to bake in your life would be set. It is just a perfect gift all around. So thanks so much for stopping by the Parcell. I can't wait to see you next week. Let me be the first to wish you Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy Hanukkah, whatever it is you celebrate. Merry, happy. Hope you have a great week.